Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Going live very abruptly, coming back from an extended hiatus. And yeah, um really happy to be back. Let me do what I gotta do. Let me handle my handles. So happy to be back. There's so much news to catch up on. A lot of news. A lot of news. And I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy that I took a break, and I'll let y'all know why. Let me change this. Boom bip. Yeah, so a lot of news broke. Good morning if you're watching on Facebook. Shoot, people probably forgot to come. I took so much time off. Hey Nicole. I took so much time off. And I did it without apology, and I did it without a lot of explanation. And I'm really happy with that. And I say that to say that consistency matters, and that each morning that I come, and okay, each morning that I hit a that I hop on. I don't take it for granted. It's something I want to do. I love these live streams, but the break, having another break, kind of fairly recently really helped me out a lot. So hopefully people will start coming back. Hopefully I didn't disrupt too much of the routines and the following and the fellowship that we're trying to create here. But yeah, it was a while. I teased this out as back from Juneteenth. Like, it's been so much going on in Charleston, whether it's the breaking news around the Jamal Sutherland case with Scarlett Wilson, the solicitor's office, speaking complete and utter nonsense, whether it's that, whether it's just the 6th anniversary of the Mother Emanuel massacre. There's so much to get into it. Obamacare news, our local lawmakers doing things, Post and Courier doing things, Post and Courier being making the list of finalists for a Pulitzer, but doesn't change the critiques that I have of the Post and Courier. It doesn't change how I feel, but that's something. Good morning, Debbie, on Facebook, if you're watching. Hey, what's up, Whiskey Neat? Good to see you. Yeah, watch later. Yeah. Watch at your leisure. Good morning, good morning. So yeah, let's just hop into it. I'm doing things a little different. No theme song. No weather. It's gonna be hot. I'm debating on like the whole weather thing too. Good morning, anyone watching on Twitch. No weather this morning. It's gonna be hot. Check out, support Charleston weather. I saw also. So basically, this is what happened when I took a week off. For those who don't know me personally, I traveled for work last week, and I brought all my gear to possibly try to live stream on Twitch from a hotel room, but I was like, nah. And like I just listened to the universe kind of tell me like, you good, and it would have been too much in terms of just trying to do Twitch the way I do it here, 2 screens, show y'all stuff. So I didn't do that. All right. But what I did do is I tried to stay abreast on things. I just took a whole week off and really enjoyed myself. And then it was it was like the perfect week to take off, given the Mother Emanuel massacre, given Juneteenth, and how I kind of struggled this year with engaging it this year. Juneteenth for me marks 1 year of a lot of things going on here in Charleston politically, within the activist realm, and not so much a somber thing. And it wasn't a somber moment. I spent time with my family, right? Yeah, thank you. I spent time with my family. I spent time with my coworker. I got to know my coworker Roz way better. We went to Raleigh Durham. Raleigh Durham has this rich African American history. Like, it was the perfect place to be, or Durham rather. It was the perfect place to be for that week, right? What up, John James? Good morning. You were at a brewery last weekend? Oh, he thought of me. You didn't think of Joe? All right. So I wanted to hop into yesterday's paper real quick. Yesterday's Post and Courier, real quick. There's this story right here. Business owners, city ponder King Street's future. Have not read this yet, y'all. Have not read this yet. Have want to read this, especially on the tails of a conversation I had with the homie Brian Walters. Shout out Brian. Brian's a magnificent scholar. He's also a friend of Gaston Creek. We're gonna get into that real quick as well. But we were talking about King Street and certain ordinances that are being discussed and contemplated, restrictions on mobile vendors, and how all of that falls into this larger tradition of prohibition of who, this prohibition of certain people. You can break it down along race lines, but you also can break it down along class lines in terms of what Charleston has historically tried to do to keep the crown jewel of tourism very homogenous, very whitewashed, very just like a picture of conformity. I don't know how else to say it. I didn't have my Wheaties this morning, but I'm interested to read this piece because I want to know if it furthers that discussion. I want to know who wrote it, because if Emily Williams wrote it, I ain't gonna expect. Okay, Emily and Andrew Brown wrote it. And I'm not trying to bash Emily, but sometimes I feel like Emily's pieces, I don't know, let me not say that. But the angles are sometimes the angles, especially within this Boom and Balance series, the angles are very peculiar. And they're very pro-establishment. I'll say that. I don't want to impugn the integrity of any journalist, just off of a hunch. That's irresponsible. Also, you see right here, y'all, I debated about this too. Taisha, just an amazing activist based in Colleton County, South Carolina. When I tell you Taisha has been inundating me in a good way, inundating me with information about this Murdaugh case, y'all, I'm equally terrified and blown away by this case and how SLED is getting away with it. How SLED is getting away with covering up, how SLED is able to close their building to the public, close their building to the press. I will say shout out to the Post and Courier for suing SLED to gain access to public information. I think that story right there needs to be examined. I think this Murdaugh case is a gateway into examining how law enforcement oversteps its bounds and routinely overreaches in terms of power, routinely tells the public what it will and won't do, which is outside the bounds of law, which is outside the bounds of our rights, right? Freedom of information, right? That's what a FOIA request is. And so this Murdaugh case, to me, it just shows how decades and decades of white supremacist, white power rule, how it'll eventually collapse upon itself, right? This type of power from this family that sent 14 people to the electric chair. This type of family that has all these different peculiar deaths and other incidents happening and swirling around this family. It was only a matter of time that it would collapse upon itself. But to have SLED and other folks who are connected to the Murdaugh family be complicit in this cover up and concealing the truth of what went on in this case is very sad. It's very sad. It's not only sad for the immediate public who are terrified of this family, not the immediate public, but the locals who are terrified of this Murdaugh family, right? They're terrified to say anything, but it's also sad for the people who have experienced loss because of this family in one way, shape, or form, especially the young lady who died in a boating accident, right? So that's the front page of yesterday's Post and Courier. And then today, I got a lot to say. Y'all gonna see this. It's so funny. Here's Emily again. Y'all gonna see this right here and think, oh, this is great news. It's unbelievable. So not last week, because I was off last week, but before I took my break, y'all know I showed you a clip of Michelle Perry, who was being featured by Food Network. Michelle is someone who was beyond just a content creator, just beyond someone who blogs. She is a PR and marketing savant. She is a genius, and I don't use that word. I don't use those words loosely. And the conversation that Michelle and I had, I guess she definitely caught wind of what the CVB was trying to do here. So the CVB launches this internship program, which connects HBCU students with the hospitality industry. And it's so funny. The conversation that Michelle and I had was that there was a need for a much needed investment from these huge hotel chains who come here, all right, who have been, who have had the red carpet laid out for them, right, in terms of incentives and certain concessions made for these businesses to come and keep this crown jewel as inaccessible to locals and cost prohibitive as possible. You would think that the city, knowing that it's changing the demographics of the peninsula, knowing that it's drastically expanding the wealth gap, right? Not just among black and white Charlestonians, but the wealth gap between the poor and the rich, right? You would think that the CVB, city council, and so on and so forth, who all tend to be very pro-business. We got a developer as mayor, so you understand what that is, right? And before that, we had a developer as a mayor for 40 years. So we're going on about 50 years of developers in the seat. You would think that they would pull a Marriott, pull a Hilton, and say, no, you've got to invest in these institutions so that we can create our own pipeline. I say this program is nothing but PR. I am not attacking the kids who are participating in this. I hope the kids, the students who participate in this program, I hope they go on and have illustrious careers in hospitality. They're going to have to leave and come back because we don't go about it the right way here. They're going to have to leave and go somewhere else, cut their teeth in maybe the Caribbean, cut their teeth in a major market, a larger market, maybe even international, right? In terms of like European, I don't know. But this program right here, when I tell you how lackluster this program is, 13 students, y'all. So what I don't see is an investment by these major hotel chains in the tunes of, $1 million or so in each HBCU school to create an actual hospitality program in the school, not CVB paying for internships for a dozen black students, and then trotting out all of the black faces from MUSC, trotting out other black prominent faces who have a direct connection to black history or whatever. This is what you don't see in the story, unfortunately. You don't see that investment that actually builds a pipeline. You see a lot of symbolism. And I think this is the reason why I didn't engage with any Mother Emanuel content this past week. I didn't engage with any Juneteenth outside of resharing some content that I shared last year. I didn't engage with any Juneteenth content because in this city, I feel largely it's performative. And I think that also you can see that and reflected by my page being the way it is, 10,000 followers, 200 likes per post, right? I don't give people, I just can't give people, I can't feed this thing of constantly engaging with Charleston's these banal attempts, these feeble attempts to address injustice. It just is so exhausting, and it's not to diss Chris Singleton, who's featured here. We know he's the son of a Mother Emanuel victim who's gone on to do great things and work with the River Dogs and whatnot. It's not to impugn the integrity of this gentleman here, Mark Gibson, who I don't have any connection to, but it's just not enough investment, y'all. And this is what Charleston does. They do a lot of symbolic things, empty gestures, a lot of empty calorie work, and they don't invest. They don't invest in the actual structures and institutions in any real meaningful way. And it's not so much on the CVB to give the money, even though they got the money, y'all. They got the money, they got the connections. If they want a direct flight between here and some European city, they make it happen. Believe me, they got the money, they got the influence. They've invested literally millions of dollars of buying that top #1 city in America spot. They've purchased that for how many years straight? We're going on, what, almost a decade? That the CVB via Condé Nast has purchased the #1 top city in America. They've purchased that. They've invested in that. If the CVB invested in a local infrastructure to support this crown jewel, you'd probably get 5% less criticism from me if I saw them over the last 10 years invest just as much money, energy, and resources in building out this pipeline for HBCU students to have bona fide hospitality programs at their school. Not participate, not a dozen kids plucked. No, have real hospitality programs at their schools. If I saw that CVB actually do that, right? Because you can make the argument, you ain't even no argument to be made. President Trump broke clock right twice a day, right? President Trump even got the HBCU thing right. So like, you can criticize the thing and you can critique a lot of, good morning, Meg. You can critique a lot of the, you know, you can still critique the politics of it all, right? Like the Post and Courier being shortlisted or becoming a finalist for the Pulitzer, but they still have, you know, sketchy dealings with their real estate, right? It got sketchy real estate investments on the peninsula, and also they don't have a newsroom that's diverse enough, right? So like, you can still critique them and say, hey, you know what? But there are a handful of reporters, more than a handful of reporters, who do a great job, right? That's the thing I'm trying to get people in Charleston to start doing is to have, it's the dual consciousness that Black people of color, people from any marginalized communities, is this dual consciousness that we have to constantly wrestle with, that I really wish other people would be burdened with as well, which is, hey, okay, this looks great on its face, a dozen kids from various schools, but what does real investment look like? What does a full-throated investment in, hey, you know what, we really care about these, not only these kids, not only these Black people, not only can we publicly affirm our love of Black people through what we say, but we can do that by actually building out programs that lead to generational, like, advancements, not just these one-off internship programs that, you know, your local Sonic could fucking do. Excuse my French. It's just to me, it's the bare minimum. All right, let me get to some video, because me talking all morning is not the jam. So there's a lot going on. It was Father's Day yesterday. I spent my Father's Day waiting in a crab house on James Island. Loved it. Delicious food. I love the crab house. My mama knows the owner, so that's why she loves it. But yeah, so Father's Day, but there was a lot of news that broke. I want to reacquaint people with this short clip from regarding the Gadsden Creek. So I want to reacquaint people who might be watching this whenever about the issue. If you follow me on Instagram, you follow Friends of Gadsden Creek on Instagram, you probably already have seen this video multiple times, but for the sake of just this morning and what we're going to discuss, I want to go ahead and just play this video that we did. I filmed my part probably about a year ago, maybe. I think maybe last August. I think so. And then Seb, shout out to Seb. Seb got brought in, and Seb contributed their portion, like let's say last 6 months. All right. So I'm gonna play it again, and it's I might not play the whole thing because it's 5 minutes, but we're going to play this most important, the beginning part, because we got a call to action.
We're trying to tell Charleston that the way they've gone about doing business, the way they've gone about planning their growth has had adverse effects on predominantly African American communities and poorer communities in Charleston.
Good morning, Anna Marks on Facebook. Good morning, Quadro, if you're watching on Facebook. Good morning.
This community that's situated directly next to the creek used to thrive, used to live off the creek.
So this is really important. Like we talk about this ad nauseum. Shout out to Cyrus Buffum, who introduced me to this entire issue. When Cyrus was leaving Waterkeeper and starting Friends of Gadsden Creek, I had no clue about this creek, over in Back to Green, over there near Burke, y'all, off Haygood, all that. But in the 1800s, y'all have to understand this. Imagine this. Close your eyes if you have to. Just imagine a part of Charleston being predominantly black, a part of Charleston thriving. Just imagine the sounds of a lumber mill. Imagine the sounds of fishermen. Imagine the sounds of people who are raising and rearing livestock. Imagine that sound. Imagine the crack of a baseball bat, and young kids playing baseball. Imagine the sounds of neighbors laughing and folks getting baptized in this creek. In the 1800s, this place was economically where you would find the most upwardly mobile black people in Charleston in one concentrated area in the 1800s, right? And you can't even imagine it because you've got Lockwood there and you've got the Joe. None of that was there. All of that was marsh. And before it was marsh, after it was marsh, it was landfill. Before it was the Joe, it was landfill. Before it was landfill, it was a sprawling, beautiful tidal marsh that not only provided sustenance for black community in Charleston, but also did its thing to protect the earth, did its thing to protect Charleston, protect the peninsula. But what do white folks do? What do white folks invested in white supremacy do? They visit an environmental disaster onto these communities, much like a Cancer Alley down in Louisiana, right? Much like, just name the place, where they either bring landfills or toxic waste. Just name a city. And they do that a lot in the South, by the way. Shout out to my friends who put me on, a lot of the dump and waste from New York and other areas comes down here to predominantly black areas. And that's what Charleston did. They started dumping on this community, which was home to the largest population of black people who had an inordinate amount of upward mobility, right? So this is all in Back to Green. And property owners, people building equity, y'all.
There's a very rich community that is engaged directly with the water. We have photographs of a baptism happening in Gadsden Creek. We have evidence of the creek being a rich ecosystem for local fishing and commerce. We see it as a place of recreation, of joy,
Go ahead,
of
Seb.
gathering.
So after the tornadoes, right? So peep this. This is why I always bring up Riley a lot. So after the tornadoes of 1938, right, it came right through Gadsden Green and knocked down a lot of black people's homes, and it messed up other parts of Charleston too. But what the Mayor Maybank and those empowered seek to do, they saw this area of Charleston that they've always wanted, and they start, which is reminiscent of what we have right now. You would think it sounds antithetical, right, to say that urban renewal, which is code. Urban renewal is not what you think it is. It's not what it sounds like. It's code for gentrification, displacement, right? It's synonymous. So you saw this thing first. You had, but before you can seize land, this is how it works, y'all. Before you can seize land, you have to deem it irredeemable. You have to deem it blighted. Before you can just outright seize it, you have to make it undesirable. You have to let it fall into disrepair, which Gadsden Green, Back to Green was not doing, right? They were thriving because they were living off the creek. They were thriving. They were owning homes. They were owning businesses. They were self-employed. They were entrepreneurs, self-sufficient, right? And so, but in order to get that land, you have to deem it blighted. And so this is a practice, y'all, that's not something new. It didn't happen in the 2000s, didn't happen in the 70s, didn't happen in the 60s. This is something that's been going on historically in this country when it comes to the seizure of not just property, but the seizure of land from indigenous folks as well. There's this pathology that is required for the white power structure, white supremacy, to come and take your land. And that's what you saw after the tornadoes of 1938. I hope that makes sense.
This is the project that lives on to this day as the public.
So they real quick, they took the land from folks after the tornadoes came through. the black folks all banded together, started fundraisers, had fairs, invited white folk to come and enjoy the fair, did all of these things to show that they were pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. But then Mayor Maybank came in and was like, nah, we're not going to let you build your homes back. We're going to take this from you, and then we're going to erect public housing. And so basically removing that ability for generations of black folks to earn and build equity, and turning them into lifelong renters. Not only that, entering them into a cycle of poverty that's almost impossible to escape.
Housing authority. Although today it's no longer technically racially segregated,
Technically.
it's still majority black, 99% people of color.
You can segregate in more than one way.
Moment in history because it's a seizure of property from black homeowners being transferred to the city.
Right. So this is the dump. This is how all that marsh just goes away. All that marsh, all that white stuff, y'all, is garbage.
This is a perfect case of environmental racism.
So this is where I want to catch y'all up.
2012, our Charleston mayor, Joe Riley, who's notorious in the area as being an extremely ambitious developer with much capital power, creates the Horizon Foundation, now known as West Edge.
Foundation, y'all. All this is moving as a foundation.
Luxury condos, parking structures, high-end office and commercial space. All of this obviously not catered to the needs of the residents just 500 feet away from
they don't need no Jimmy Johns, y'all. And I hate the fact that they included Michael Mayer, who's a notorious liar. I guess they had to get both sides, but his comments here are completely bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm not biased. I know the facts. It's bullshit. Look at Seekins and Gregory back there in the ribbon cutting. And a lot of people, whenever we criticize West Edge, a lot of people reach out and like, oh, my friend works there. My friend works for this. Y'all, bigger picture. Bigger picture. A lot of people reach out like, oh, my friend works there. I don't want her to get in. Bigger picture. Shout out for the follow. Sizzle Mayfield. But bigger picture, it's not about your friend. It's about the practice. It's about what goes on. It's not about any individual. I'm sure there's a bunch of great individuals that work for West Edge, but we have to look at the bigger issue. We have to look at how West Edge, aka the Horizon Foundation, was formed specifically to displace folk and to just continue this unchecked, unfettered sprawl and growth. So what I want to do is bring you, I was going to show y'all my brother. My brother just happy Father's Day, bro. Happy Father's Day, Terrence, if you're watching, whenever you watch. He raced his kids this weekend and had to beat them in a foot race because he's a championship runner. But anyway, I won't bore y'all with that video. I'll bring you up to speed. So this weekend, before Juneteenth, we got the word that DHEC just approved West Edge's permit. So I'm urging everyone to please either go to friendsofgazencreek.com if you're not on Instagram, but head to Instagram if you can right here. I'm probably going to send out a newsletter, more than likely send out a newsletter with this Instagram information here. So here, I believe Seb created the caption here. So breaking, DHEC approves West Edge permit to destroy Gadsden Creek. Friends of Gadsden Creek will be filing a request for a board review. So that's what we all hopped on the call. We all hopped on the call before the weekend, or I think it was a Saturday. We all hopped on a call. Was it Saturday or Friday? Running together, and it was Friday. We hopped on a call on Friday, and we discussed the next steps and what this issue is. Shout out to Mary. Shout out to Seb. Shout out to Brian Walter. Shout out to Chloe. Shout out to Shout out to Taylor. Shout out to Amron. Shout out to Cyrus if I didn't say that. All on the call trying to really understand this issue and figure out how legally we can continue to fight, because this is not good news, right? So the call to action is to go to our website, go to friendsofgazencreek.com, right, which is in the bio of this Instagram account, and become a friend by adding your name and email address, and then that way we can disseminate information to you. So there's no cost, no obligation, no riffraff, no spam. only thing you'll get will be updates about this case and how you can help add your voice, because what they're going to try to do is say that, well, the locals didn't say anything, or the locals didn't. We're trying to get the locals to respond. So I pose this as a Juneteenth call to action on Juneteenth. And I really do mean this. Like, I just started off with the performative, right? What's in the Sunday paper following Juneteenth. They made sure that they, show you all the things they're doing to help Black people, black stuff. But it's really the structural changes. It's really the deep. It's this stuff, guys. The stuff that impacts policy, the stuff that impacts our everyday way of life here in Charleston. This is where we really need folks to show up. I don't need your clicks and likes. I don't even need your money. I need people, especially privileged folk, to actually give a fuck. I need y'all to really care and give a damn, and just sign up for this newsletter, sign up for Friends of Gadsden Creek, and wait your marching order, so to speak, and get active. Half the time the stuff we're asking for, it takes maybe 10-20 minutes max, maybe even way less than that, in terms of giving us your name and email address so we can keep you connected, but also for you to call elected officials or to call your council person. These are the things that we're trying to get you to do, and have you show up for some of these hearings like we did last time. And shout out to everyone who poured out. I mean, there were people that we didn't even touch that came out to oppose the filling of this creek. The Dutch dialogues, people love bringing up the Dutch dialogues. They recommended that you not fill the creek, right? And so we pay all this money, we lift up all this research, and the Post and Courier is about to or may possibly win a Pulitzer Prize for its reporting on climate change and the rising sea levels, and how every time it rains for 2 minutes in Charleston, the whole peninsula shuts down. We write about it, we talk about things, but what do we do in real time to actually combat these injustices? And I think that's where my frustration and fatigue come into play, is because, like, look, when we have a moment for you to actually act, where is that movement? Where are these businesses holding other meetings to hold other businesses that count? Where are those business leaders who are literally creating an alternative to the CVB that's rooted in community? You will argue maybe that's low country local. Maybe it is, but maybe it's more of an activist fringe of business owners who care about these issues. Instead of hitting up BLM pages and looking to us to give you all the answers, this is where we need the businesses and the folks that posted black squares, and the folks who were quick to run to social media and tell you about their professed values. This is their time right now to start galvanizing people within their industries. I know people are getting back on their feet. I know COVID it was real, and shit is opening up, and we got to make that money back. But this is the thing, like, people of color, black people, Gullah Geechee descendants, Gullah Geechee folk, saltwater Geechees, freshwater Geechees, we don't have the luxury of prioritizing things and we'll take care of this later. We have to walk, chew gum, take care of our kids, take care of our family, make a way out of no way, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. That's what people on the margins have to constantly contend with. So I really do hope that the business owner class that was so quick to run to Instagram and show us that, hey, you down, and I click like, and I shared it in my stories, and I shared it in my newsletter. I hope that you are also organizing other business owners who don't quite fit into that CVB mentality. I hope you're organizing them, right? Because you've had a whole year to watch what it looks like to build out some sort of effort. I hope that that's what's happening. And then for those of you who say, well, they're not activists, they're not social justice. Bullshit. If you post about social justice issues, if you post about Black Lives Mattering, this is your time to actually walk the walk. I don't need more professed values. I need more practice values. And this is where we'll see. We'll see how many folks here really step up, because if the reaction to Jason Cooper and Jamal Sutherland are any indication, I'm gonna have to pack a lunch and wait for white folk to wake up and really give a fuck. And to me, when you don't stand up for, like, the palmetto rose bearers, And a lot of businesses did not stand up for the palmetto rose bearers. What do? When they come for us, right? That's the first sign. Then they came for y'all. Now who they coming for? They coming from the mobile vendors, right? Anything that doesn't fit within the CBD, anyone who's not paying their dues, anyone who's not in that clique is gonna feel the heat from police, from business officials, from city officials, and the like. And I really wish people understood that's how oppression works. It doesn't just attack this one or two or five groups endlessly. It metastasizes and has to continue to marginalize communities in order for it to breed. That's how white supremacy works, right? It's not the shark, it's the fucking water, it's the sea. And I really wish people understood that. So if you're not fighting for Gadsden Creek, you're not fighting to keep your business afloat on the peninsula. If you don't fight for Gadsden Creek, if you don't stand up to big development, if you don't stand up to Riley and his legacy of development and displacement of black and brown people and poor people, if you don't stand up for that now, then they're going to come for you very soon. I don't care how cute and pastel your business is. I don't care how many lists it got on. I don't care how many blogs wrote about it. I don't care if Apartment Therapy did a write-up about your wares. It don't matter. Because if you don't start standing up to Charleston now when it counts, before it becomes a story that Post and Courier can write about and win Pulitzers on, pain and trauma, before it becomes Pulitzer porn, if you don't stand up for it now, then you ain't shit, and it's gonna come for you. That's how oppression works. It doesn't just stay stuck on one person, one group, one identity. It metastasizes and it grows and it starts to impact other people. And I know white folk, I know y'all feeling it. I know y'all feeling it because the police is killing y'all too and getting away with it, right? They pushing y'all off the peninsula too. I'm not even talking about the mobile vendors. I'm talking about just being able to eat and live and enjoy your own city. You can't afford no $400 a night, right? And I'm not saying that all white people have wealth, and I'm not saying all black people are poor, but we know what this is about, right? Working class folks can't enjoy this city. So what are you waiting for? For it to be completely uninhabitable? For it to be completely inaccessible to you and everybody else except the ultra rich? Because that's who Riley and Tecklenburg have in mind when they build this city out, when they propose and they support the filling in of the last 4 acres, the last 4 remaining acres of Gadsden Creek. That's who they have in mind. They don't have you in mind. They don't have your coffee shop in mind. They don't have your little hat shop in mind. They don't have your icy truck in mind. They don't have none of that shit in mind. They have only the ultra rich in mind. That's it. Stand up for something while you can. You didn't stand up for Jason Cooper. You didn't stand up for Jamal Sutherland until the tape came out. Stand up for something in real time. Why we have a chance to at least stave off development one more time. Seriously, I just get so frustrated. Let me hop over to YouTube, back over to YouTube. And there were other videos that I wanted to hit in. I'm going to make a huge segue. Again, I contemplated engaging with the Mother Emanuel anniversary. Very, very complicated feelings. Not complicated feelings about my black people, complicated feelings in terms of folks, and mostly if they're white folks who watch my content. I'm not here to give you what you want about Mother Emanuel. I'm still incensed and I'm still furious that we don't have gun legislation that reflects a care about this. So you can do all the specials you want, Charleston. You can release all the doves you want, Charleston, but in South Carolina. But y'all have yet to act in a way that would actually protect black people from this type of hate crime ever happening again. You've yet to really investigate the roots of white supremacist terror in this state, unless it's for the Post and Courier and you want to go talk about the Stinney case that was decades and decades and decades and decades ago when we wrongfully executed, murdered a boy who did not kill 2 white girls on his own, but you killed him anyway. That's the stuff y'all want to talk about. But in real time, like, Dylan Roof is still drawing breath. Dylan Roof still is to me, he ain't no lone wolf. They will lone wolf us to death. We come up with Juneteenth as a holiday. They say no, Confederates. Memorial Day is a holiday. Like, that's where we live in this state. So for me to talk about Mother Emanuel, I kind of got to the point where I only want to talk about it among black people and black people who actually want to talk about this with nuance. That's how I feel about it. That being said, there were some pieces, I don't know, CBSN, they love Antoine C. Right. I know Antoine has a connection. Thanks for the sub Thanks for the Prime sub. I appreciate it. I know Antoine C. Wright has a intimate connection with not just the tragedy, but folks who were lost in the tragedy. I don't want to go at Antoine C. Wright. Y'all know I'm not a fan. But this thing that Antoine C. Wright, this interview that he had, I'm gonna push play real quick. And I'm gonna pause it because I watched most of it this morning. And you have the widow here of Clemente Pinckney and Clemente Pinckney's 2 daughters here, and Antoine C. Wright is overwhelmed with emotion. He has tears streaming down his face, and it's just really, to me, it felt like a moment that wasn't for public consumption, if that makes any sense. It was a detailed account of what happened that night. I've heard, I don't want to keep calling Clemente Pinckney's widow. I always get Jennifer's name wrong. I make sure. But they don't even give her name. Oh, they don't even give. It's Jennifer, right? I've heard Jennifer speak multiple times, but I've never really heard her account like this. And all I hear is injustice. I hear senselessness. I feel like I want to jump back in time, and if there was a way to stop this from happening, I wish it could have been a way to stop this from happening. And I just think that a lot of this pain and anguish has been commodified by legacy media, but also by power interests here in South Carolina. It's difficult for me to watch this, just like it was difficult for me to watch the Jason Cooper shooting, and difficult for me to watch the Jamal Sutherland video. Very different, but still dealing with Black death and Black anguish. And I feel like anything about Mother Emanuel should come with a trigger warning, a content warning, because there's just so much access to this grief that I just feel really conflicted about it. And again, I'm thinking about the people who have made money and made names for themselves off of this tragedy, all the while not advocating strongly enough for gun legislation that actually will reflect, hey, this thing happened because of this loophole. Let's close this up. Let's shore this up so that this won't happen again. So when you don't even have that as a response to when this state wouldn't even lower the damn Confederate flag, as a senator who was just slain in a hate crime had his body, his body was moving, a procession. His body was in a procession moving through the streets of Columbia, past the State House, and when they would not lower the Confederate flag, shout out to Bree Newsom, who was often erased from this story as well. This is why I oftentimes struggle with the Mother Emanuel story, because of the Bree Newsom erasure. She pulled that flag down, y'all, because this state would not show this man respect. And I still see that level of disrespect around Clemente Pinckney's death. Not just Clemente Pinckney, of course, all of the 9 victims, but you see this profound disrespect and this need, this greed for the commodification of Black pain and trauma to be either the upstanding white person next to the issue. And I go, look, I'm not like that. I'm actually here trying to make it better, and you're not. You're just creating more confusion, and you're also being paternalistic as hell. But also, you see that erasure of what happened, that true accounting, and oftentimes the documentaries, the movies, the reports never include Bree Newsom, never include that. And I think Bree Newsom, what she did, is so much in alignment with what I feel. Like, how dare you? How dare you bring this man's body through in a procession meant to honor him and not lower the Confederate damn flag? And that's South Carolina in a nutshell. We'll talk. We'll have the procession. We'll have the pageantry, but we won't undergird that with any real movement toward justice and change. This sounds like a very angry stream. I hope it doesn't come off angry, but anger is a valid emotion, and I'm actually not really angry as much as I am just in this constant state of rage. Right? I often use that Incredible Hulk scene from one of the movies, like where Mark Ruffalo was playing Incredible Hulk. I was like, I'm always angry. Like, you just have to manage it to be Black in Charleston. It's like, I'm always angry. I just have to manage it and just not let it out at the McDonald's. Right? So there's tons of content on Mother Emanuel. There's tons of content from CBSN featuring Antoine C. Wright. There's tons of content involving that. I'm not going to play it because it's the same old story. It almost feels like it's becoming like folklore as opposed to, no. This happened recently. This was recently. And y'all took him to Burger King. Y'all took a man who killed 9 people who had guns in his car. Y'all took him to Burger King. But you shoot Jason Cooper dead on the spot. And you killed Jamal Sutherland. But Dylan Roof gets Burger King. I am just constantly in outraged by this. So folks did stop by, pay homage to all of that. Oh, a horse carriage overturned. Oh wow. Not laughing. Somebody got hurt. I wanted to get to there was an important story. Oh, big time important story here. This shit made my hair straight right here. I'm gonna play this. If we can get it to, we're gonna mute it real quick. So yeah, solicitor releases statement on the Jamal Sutherland death certificate. Scarlett was doing the most and the absolute least at the same time. I don't know how you can do that at all.
New tonight, the family of a man who died at the Charleston County Jail says they're glad their son's death certificate was updated. We were the first to tell you last night when the manner of death for Jamal Sutherland was changed from undetermined to homicide. Our Carter Coyle joins us now live from the newsroom. Carter, we've also just heard from the solicitor, Scarlett Wilson, about what this means for her investigation.
Feckless.
Solicitor Wilson says she's not surprised Sutherland's death was ruled a homicide. She was surprised when the pathologist didn't list it that way in the first place, but she says the work.
She wasn't surprised. Don't play in my face, Scarlett. You wasn't surprised. You, Mark Pepper, the pathologist, the coroner, whomever, y'all all worked together with SLED to create some time and some cushion to figure out who was going to fall politically on this. And y'all came up with Graziano. And when that didn't stick and the people came out to the streets and held your feet to the fire, you changed up real quick. So this change in coding of what it was, because we saw it with our own eyes, and before we even saw it, we knew what happened. Before we saw it, we knew what happened. This boy walks in to on his own power and is not even in there 24 hours before he's dead, right? We knew what happened. This wasn't, this is strange. I'm surprised. You're not surprised, shocked, or amazed, you staggering. Like, you're not. Stop it. You're not. Stop playing in our faces. This is a response to activist pressure. This is a response to the people on the ground holding your feet to the fire and exposing you and every move you make for what it is. It's a sham. And y'all was trying to cover it up to figure out who politically was going to fall. And you're still trying to put it on Graziano, but it ain't going to stick. And I ain't no big Graziano fan, but I'll be damned if you sit here and try to scapegoat somebody who was in office all but 3 hours? 4 hours, something like that, 2-3 hours. The fuck you will, when your man Al Cannon, Scarlett, your man Al Cannon, this was his handiwork, this was his legacy. Oh, we were shocked and amazed. Y'all, please don't listen to this woman lie to y'all, because she's already proven that she's a skillful liar. As is Luther Reynolds, as is SLED. They will lie to your face. Oh, we're going to get to that Luther Reynolds thing, that narrated video. We're going to get to that. So much news to catch up on. I keep talking.
Homicide on a death certificate is not the same as murder or any other crime in South Carolina for her purposes of deciding whether or not to prosecute the officers involved. And Wilson says homicide does not equal criminal intent.
That's crazy.
So that in order for her.
Okay, so what are we doing with language here? What are we doing with language? If it's homicide, shout out to Fernando and for the folks on the thread and the Justice for All, in our community. Homicide ain't no neutral term. See, this how they do us, y'all. You can award the family. Remember I told you, don't even think about that settlement. That settlement is their business. That settlement is a civil matter. This is where it really matters to us, because if they do that, they literally are getting away with murder. getting away with how exactly, Nicole? How is it? Homicide is not no neutral term. Homicide is not it's not manslaughter. It's homicide. I don't even get that. Oh, I'm so surprised they changed it. No.
For the state to hold someone criminally responsible for someone else's death, they have to prove the cause of death and that the person or the people accused had criminal intent. And she says that she has another pathologist reviewing this.
She always twists the law in this weird way. But the one thing about Scarlett is Scarlett thinks that everybody else is not sharper than her, or I don't know if she's getting bad counsel. I don't know if Mark Pepper and them, they plan just started to fall apart miserably. But you are acting. I'm not gonna call her names. You are acting, Scarlett, like you're a dumb, hapless woman, and you're far from that. But I will say this: your execution of your plan shows your ineptitude. Because all we have to do is look to other cities, other states who are dealing with similar issues, and seeing what you're doing. What you're doing is obstructing justice, and it's disingenuous. How is it homicide but not criminal? So y'all go ahead and commit murder out there, and y'all not gonna go to jail. Y'all not even gonna have charges. Go ahead and commit homicide, y'all. I'm not being serious, but you get what I'm saying. Get the fuck out of here.
This case, she's also called in a use of.
If this the case, then they need to open up the jail. Real talk. If this the case, they need to open up the jails then. You know I'm already a whole abolitionist. If homicide don't mean criminal intent, open up them jails then. Why are the men and the women behind bars? Why are some of them kids behind bars for the rest of their life? If homicide don't mean criminal, you want to set a crazy precedent? Scarlett, you want to set a crazy precedent because you on your way. If homicide ain't murder, if homicide ain't criminal rather, oh, you about to fuck up in ways you don't even know. You don't even know. You trying to cover your own behind, and you gonna end up messing up your work for the next, as long as you in office. This is crazy.
A force expert with a specialty in detention centers, and Wilson said that she's talked to the Sutherland family about all of this already. This is what they had to say about the manner of death being amended to homicide.
This don't make no sense.
Quote, the family has reached the same conclusion immediately upon seeing the video of his death. Thus, they're pleased with the amended finding and remain steadfast in their pursuit of.
I really do hope this family breaks from the chains of Mark Pepper. I know they got a sizable settlement. But the way that this was rushed through, mediation was rushed through before even this was concluded, before so many other things fell into place, shows that this was just a money grab by the Pepper law firm. And Pepper, we know, is in close community with Al Cannon, the man who presided over this jail and created the culture and the conditions that actually contributed to Jamal Sutherland's death. I don't know how this family retained a lawyer that's cozy with the police, cozy with the sheriff, that literally created a framework. And it ain't just Jamal that died in custody at Al Cannon Correctional. It ain't just Jamal Sutherland. He ain't the first death there under Al Cannon's rule to die. And yeah, I'm counting Al Cannon as the sheriff, because 3 hours in, nah, that ain't Graziano culture. Nah. That's crazy to me. I just wish this family gets far away from this man. I really do hope so. I really do. Once the ink dries and they get what they need to get away from Mark Pepper, y'all.
This for Jamal. Sutherland was an inmate who died at the Charleston County Jail back in.
I don't want to rehash that. But yeah, so that blew my hair straight. I'm like, wait, what? And then the way she framed it was it doesn't mean this and that. So what, you setting the stage for when you're not going to bring charges? It's crazy. Anyway, I'm not even gonna play this one either. I'm gonna hop back over. Let me see if there was anything else. We talked about the Gas and Green situation. This was a story. This is also the reporting. I wanted to show you reporting on it. This is reporting from Live 5 News. Again, I hope you see it. I hope you guys understand this. Foundation gains permit to continue flood reduction work downtown. That's not true. That's not. See how this is really interesting framing. Who wrote this? Riley, you gonna get a strongly worded email from me. you gonna get a strongly worded email. A foundation gains permit to continue flood reduction downward. If you think West Edge is invested in flood reduction, then I got a bridge to sell you. Right? I got a bridge to sell you. If you think that West Edge, its sole purpose is to help with flood mitigation, we gotta talk. So I'm not even going to read this story from Riley Bean. It's very interesting. I don't know if his editors made him frame it that way, but that's not what West Edge does. And see how they cloak themselves in the nonprofit industrial complex to get shitty shit done, shitty things through. They do this all the time. They do this in our schools. They do this with they did this with the miseducation of gentrification. They did that with that event. That series event years ago. They keep using nonprofits to peddle nonsense and misinformation. And you're saying, well, Mika, you're just biased because you're... No. My friends, more so than me, have studied this issue from so many different angles, from the moderate, just tree hugging perspective to the full on badass. Nah, I brought this to Brooklyn. I brought this to New York for my comrades in my school to look over. This ain't right. We've studied this for years from so many different angles. And when I tell y'all, it's really as simple as a developer, as Riley creating Horizon then changed his name to West Edge, and then West Edge now claiming to be spearheading flood mitigation efforts when they're not. They're developer. It's a developer. Right. Yeah. Same facade. Good morning, same facade. The reason Charleston is in trouble with flooding is because they built over marshlands. Thank you, Nash. That's it. Like, I don't, and then they keep building. Same facade, and then they keep building. Like, you're not learning your lesson. Part of me is like fuck it. If y'all don't care about, if it wasn't for the remaining black families and black pockets that live on if it wasn't for the small fraction of folks still holding on, I would have been like, F y'all. They didn't just build, and y'all, they didn't just build over marshes. They dumped. They created more land, not just over on Back to Green, not just over by the Joe, which is sinking, not just over there. They created land. They dumped all around to create more land. To build on. They created more land. That was actually in a number of the communications that we found dating back to a Mayor Lockwood, a Mayor Maybank. You saw like either the origins or the continuation of a strategy that included creating more land. So they not only built over marshes, they dumped on the marshes and then built on the marshes, which is not sustainable. Literally not sustainable. You see it when you drive your car on Haygood, when you drive your car on Lockwood, you literally feel, oh, what does it feel like for the dump to sink, but the pipes to stay up? Right? It's crazy. Danielle in the same way. Yeah. Okay, so I was flying back from Durham, from Raleigh, this past, on last week, like end of last week, I flew back in town. And as I'm coming in, we came around where you could see like the North Charleston part, and like you could see like the Cooper River Bridge, of course, and all the other stuff. But I saw all these homes. I can't really depict where I was at, but I saw all these homes in the marsh. All these homes with this amazing boat access, these long piers, right? Private piers, private boat access. And I'm like, who the hell would build their house in a damn marsh? But like, there's literally nowhere else to go. And I'm like, see you around hurricane season, because that ain't the move. It's crazy with hurricane season, with the last few being so ramped up, right? And so, bigger weather events, bigger hurricane, more named storms. Shit, they ran out of the alphabet last year, right? More named storms. Shit, we had a named storm right there threatening Louisiana over the weekend, right? I don't know why people will build their house in the marsh, but they do. Further, exasperating an issue. Sizzle Mayfield, what is nature? What is it? What is nature? What is the land when it keeps getting mowed over, built up to put in houses that are regular salaried local can't even afford? You have said it the best. Yes, Sizzle Mayfield. It's crazy. It's really nutty. All right, let me but yeah, Channel 5 News, y'all really framed that issue poorly. I wanted to get into Obamacare, and I wanted to get into the Murdaugh, and then I'm a call it a day because it's a lot of things. But look out, if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, sign up for my newsletter. Head to Instagram, in the bio. You can sign up for the Charleston Activist Network. It says CAN newsletter. Please follow up there, and then I'm going to point everybody to other things regarding the Friends of Gadsden Creek follow-up. But let's hop over to Obamacare. So this was interesting.
Line here. The battle for more than a decade by some Republicans to take down Obamacare. And tonight, the major Supreme Court ruling, the conservative-leaning court now upholding Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, for a third time. This was a 7-2 decision, and it brings relief tonight to the 31 million who depend on it for their insurance.
31 million
for the young people on their parents' coverage until they're 26, and the 54 million Americans with pre-existing conditions who are protected by the law. The justices ruling against Texas and 17 other Republican-led states that had sued, supported in their efforts by former President Trump. The ACA signed into law by President Obama 11 years ago, with then Vice President Biden by his side. Tonight, President Biden celebrating the ruling, saying, quote, "It is time to move forward and keep building on this landmark law." So was this the last stand? Is Obamacare here to stay? ABC senior national correspondent Terry Moran has covered the Supreme Court for years.
I'm not even going to let that answer rock because y'all can figure that out. But shit, if Roe versus Wade is being attacked every damn day, everything else is being attacked. No, it's not the last stand. It's not the last stand. That's my answer to the question. I'm sure somebody's gonna come on and give you but I wanted to include this because I saw old girl chiming in. She look, y'all, look at the costume she wearing now. Intellectual Barbie.
Thank you.
Sorry, I know. I know my criticism of Nancy Mace can sound very misogynistic. I know, y'all, but she does try things on for effect. She does. Now she's wearing glasses, right? Like she's trying things on to get credibility. I just think we just need to know, sweetie, who spray painted your house, sweetie bop. That's what we need to know. Put on them glasses and start looking around your house for some look around your house for some clues of who vandalized your house, right? Well, let's listen to what this woman has to say.
Thank you for being back on the show on a.
Wait, first of all, why are they talking to her on MSNBC? I'm sorry, I don't, at this point, all I watch is Ali Velshi and April Cross. That's all I watch now. I don't watch nothing else. Maybe the occasional Joanne Reed, maybe. But right now, it's just Ali Velshi and April because I can't take these. They keep booking these nincompoops. Anyway, so let's listen to her.
Because I want to bring in somebody who could perhaps shed some light on the political piece of this and where it goes next.
Shed some light.
And that is Congresswoman Nancy Mace, Republican from South Carolina.
Her comms team works overtime, y'all.
On the show on an unexpectedly busy morning, I think.
Her kids told her to wear the glasses.
Of course, I got to ask your initial reaction here to the Supreme Court now upholding the Affordable Care Act.
Hold on. Y'all have me dying in the chat. Her kids probably did tell her, right? Ain't her favorite line, right? And shout out to you, Shane Facade. They keep calling it Obamacare instead of the ACA. Exactly. And as long as it'll don that moniker of Obamacare, it'll be under attack. For real. You still think she spray painted? I'm starting to think she did too. At first, I'm like, nah, y'all tripping. You know, she ain't that dumb with all them cameras. If she didn't do it directly, she had something to do with it at this point, because you're not showing us no. Come on, it's Daniel Island. This is not John's Island. This is not where I live. This Daniel Island. You know how much wealth is there? How many cameras gotta be there? Please. Let there be a Black Lives Matter rally. Let there be 2 people marching through the streets saying Black Lives Matter. I bet you all cameras will be on. Everybody have evidence. What car they drove up in, how they leave, who they knew, what color sneakers they had on. Please. I'm sorry. Let me stop. Obama. ACA.
Yet again.
Well, as a Republican who does not support Obamacare, I do find it disappointing. I've talked to business owners in my district and around the state of South Carolina for years now, and we every year see the cost of health care go up every single year.
Yeah.
And it's because of Obamacare
No,
and
it's because
regulations.
No, it's because Governor McMaster won't expand Medicaid, dummy.
It's causing a lot of these price increases, whether that's service, whether that's care, whether that's pharmaceuticals, you name it. And so it was disappointing to hear today, this morning, just now, moments ago, that the Supreme Court won't even take it up.
Is the fight now over? I have to ask, this is the third.
But y'all stacked the courts. Y'all stacked the courts. So y'all stacked the courts with people. It was a 7-2 decision. Who was the two? Was it Clarence Thomas? Because Clarence Thomas, we know he far right as Scalia, even how Scalia was. Yeah, and they says, and I say that as a black contractor that works in Daniel Island occasionally. These rich people are nosy. Oh, you know they are. Thank you for letting us know who you are too. Like that helps. Same facade. Oh yeah, you know they nosy. You start bringing out a hammer and nails. People come over, start talking to you casually. Please, I drove Uber. I've driven Uber and waited for people and had people constantly knock on my car door. I'm like, who are you waiting for? Constantly. As just a black Uber driver with the Uber insignia in the damn windshield, still questioning your existence. So I doubt that whoever spray painted her house is just like, whatever.
Third time, as you know, and as Ari Melber, I think so wisely said earlier on the show, that it has been almost supersized by the Supreme Court by being able to survive and withstand so many legal challenges. Is this the end of the road for the GOP as far as legal challenges to Obamacare? I'm not talking about legislatively, what you might
Won't they hold an audit?
Right. I hope it's not the end of the road, but we do need to look at legislative options. For example, one of the arbitrary, sort of doesn't make sense regulations within Obamacare is you can't get catastrophic insurance over the age of 30. There shouldn't be these arbitrary caps on age for something like that. I remember when I was a young mom, I had 2 kids at home and I was starting my own company. Catastrophic insurance was the only thing I could afford. And we want to make sure that we give opportunities and options to people all across the country. So if we can, as a next step, look at some of the burdensome regulations and repeal some of those and that would make access to health care greater for all.
So just a cap on catastrophic coverage. You couldn't come up with any, what other burdensome regulations? What other burdensome talk? And honestly, there is an argument she could be making. She's not making it. As someone who was a vice president in training with Trader Joe's, I remember how the ACA just drastically transformed, because Trader Joe's still, but at that time, Trader Joe's was able to offer its part-time workforce amazing benefits. You could work about 32 hours, I think, or even less, and still have full health coverage. The benefits were great, and we attracted a lot of like real estate agents and people who had other types of jobs, but just needed to supplement that income with some good benefits. And I remember how ACA came and it devastated some of our workforce. I'm not going to lie, right? There were adverse effects. I think everyone can agree to that. It's just so funny how this bobblehead doesn't even reach for some of that, some of that legislation. Well, let me give her some grace. Let's see if she does it.
But what I didn't hear you say in that answer, Congresswoman, was that you think there will be a concerted effort to again try to challenge Obamacare and take it up to the level of the Supreme Court. Is that fair?
Saw that side.
Well, I don't know what the next step is. I just heard about this a few minutes ago, but I do hope that Republicans will come up with solutions.
Then why are you talking to the press?
If Obamacare is here to stay, then how can we repeal some of the regulations?
She should know the next steps. If you're going to go out and you're going to protest this ruling, if you're going to come and add commentary, because what probably happens, your comms team was just working overtime and made sure that they could grab the MSNBC folks and say, hey, I got Nancy Mace is here. Nancy Mace, right? And got her in front of the camera without her getting her talking point straight. You should know next steps. You should actually be crafting and suggesting next steps. You should be saying that, but you don't know how to politic.
Regulations that make health care unaffordable for so many Americans across the country. And there are regulations within Obamacare that we've got to address.
What are they?
And take away.
Of course, millions of people do rely, as you know, on the Affordable
31 million
coverage across this country to be able to get them the access and the services that they need. Congresswoman Nancy Mace, I know that I got to get you on another topic very quickly, which is the repeal of the AUMF, which is coming up for a vote in the House. I know you have some news to make here on this show on that.
Right,
that's why she
I'm a
here.
co-sponsor of the repeal of the 2002 AUMF, one of just a handful of Republicans that are working with Democrats. And it was Democrats this morning that allowed me to give a 1-minute speech on the floor about the AUMF. For 2 decades now, we've seen it abused by presidents, Republican and Democrat. It's been 20 years, and we've got...
Okay, so it's both sides, Barbie. That's who we seeing right here. So she's gonna lull Democrats into this false sense of security. She's gonna lull a lot of people who just are craving to see a moderate Republican who's on the right side of something. She's gonna be lull y'all into false sense of like, oh, okay, she's not that bad. She's gross. She's gross. If you're gonna concoct a whole vandalism story just to vilify the left, then there's no bottom. There's no bottom. Yeah, I don't care about her working with bipartisan. I don't care about that. Let's get to the Murdaugh real quick. Murdaugh family. You know, GMA, first of all, Good Morning America, why are y'all leading this coverage? Like, even on my hiatus, Good Morning America has the most clips, it feels like. It's the Island Packet. I would say this, Island Packet, Fitz News, and GMA. They even had like a dedicated reporter down here. Anyway, yeah, I see you, Nicole. So let's watch. Let's just do. When did this go up? Let's do this one first.
Carolina, a mother and son from a prominent family found dead. Police revealing it was the father who discovered them and then called 911. Eva Pilgrim is there in South Carolina with the latest on the investigation.
Was it murder suicide? I know we talked about this already, but like.
Good morning, Amy. It's been more than a week since this double murder, and so far there have been no arrests, no suspects named. But this morning, for the first time, investigators giving us a timeline of what happened that night.
I didn't watch this with y'all, I don't think.
This morning, new details
I watched this on my
murder
own.
mystery as investigators try to find who killed 2 members of one of South Carolina's most prominent families. Authorities say Alec Murdaugh called 911 just after 10 p.m. last Monday night. He had just arrived home, finding the bodies of his 22-year-old son, Paul, and his 56-year-old wife, Maggie, near the dog kennels outside the family's hunting lodge.
It was just sirens after siren. I mean, we're right here on the main road.
Tangy Omer lives nearby.
I can only imagine when you come home and have to find your wife and your son in the yard.
The county coroner saying the shooting...
Oh, not just any wife and son. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to dehumanize the Murdaughs, but at the same time, like this, the amount of power and wealth that this family has access to is ridiculous. So this is a more recent story.
Carolina son and mother who were gunned down. We're going to hear from their family for the first time in just a moment. Eva Pilgrim is there in Columbia, South Carolina.
Eva been on the spot.
Good morning, Robin. On the day of those murders, Alec Murdaugh had just taken
I don't know,
his
Nicole.
dying father
I'm
back
like,
to the
did
hospital,
he do it?
And he went to check on his mother. His family tells us when he returned to his home, he made that gruesome discovery.
He's a very caring person, and she was the rock of their family.
This morning, members of the Murdaugh family
Oh,
speaking for the
please.
first time since
I'm
their brother
sorry.
Alec Murdaugh found his 22-year-old son Paul and his wife Maggie shot to death outside their South Carolina home last week.
I got a call from Alec Monday night, and as soon as I answered the phone, I knew something was wrong. Oh, man. He just told me. He said, come as fast as you can.
I see tears.
Paul and Maggie have been hurt.
His voice, the fear. He was just distraught.
No arrests have been made, no suspects named. The Murdaughs issuing a...
You know what I've seen, though, in the media is like kind of there's a glossing over if it was, honestly, the Post and Courier making a hubbub about being denied access actually, to me, gives me some hope that people are really looking into this, because this is more than just wealthy family members killed. There's a reason why no suspects have been named, but 2 people were murdered. Then SLED says there's no threat to the general public, but you haven't named a suspect, nor have you arrested anyone. Like, that don't make sense. So either they know who did this, And they haven't said it was a murder-suicide. So it wasn't like the son shot the mom and then shot himself. They didn't say that. They said it was multiple gunshots. So they know who did it, and they're not talking. And then you send other family surrogates, family members, but you send surrogates out to humanize the family, right? And to me, it's just really weird. It's really, really weird.
Plea for help this morning.
But the person that did this is out there.
Yeah, he in your family probably.
There's information, however big or however small it is.
Did they have any enemies?
I really don't know of any enemies.
Oh my God. Why are you asking them? Hopefully she'll do a little package where she looks at any outstanding lawsuits filed against the Murdaugh family. They had mad enemies. You sent 14 people to death to the electric chair. Your family. One girl loses her life because your son is drinking underage. Went to Parker's to buy the beer. Shout out to Taisha. Went to Parker's to buy the beer. Oh yeah, by the way, Parker's is owned by the damn Murdaugh family. Right? They have an ownership stake in Parker's. He goes to buy the beer from Parker's, gets drunk, gets in a boat, kills a girl. Not even to mention the other young boy that was found mysteriously shot in the middle of the street that was linked somehow to the murder. Now I'm recklessly speculating, but somehow this young, openly gay boy, young man rather, is found dead and his name is linked to the murder. Then there's some other, housekeeper that fell down the steps? And you want to ask about enemies? What the hell?
Talk on the, social media with regard to
They are not a regular family.
I don't know of anybody.
No.
They are not relatable. Exactly that, Johnny James. They are not. The uncles got up in here trying to humanize them. This is not a regular family. This is not the Brady Bunch. This is not Leave It to Beaver. Let me use a more contemporary family. This is not... This ain't Modern Family. This ain't that. This ain't none of that. This is deep fried, southern fried, John Grisham ass intrigue, scandal, corruption, all of that. Your grandpappy sent 14 people to the electric chair, and that's actually something they brag about. That's not cool.
It would truly be an enemy or truly want to harm them.
Paul killed somebody.
Paul Murdaugh had been awaiting trial accused of being under the influence in 2019 while crashing a boat, killing 19-year-old passenger Mallory Beach. He had pleaded not guilty in the case. The Murdaughs telling us Paul had been receiving threats from strangers, people they say they didn't know.
Were they, violent threats?
I didn't think it was a credible threat. If it was, I would have tried to do something or notified someone. But I guess, maybe I made a mistake.
The Murdaughs are one of the most prominent families in South Carolina, part of the legal establishment going back almost a century. 3 generations of Murdaughs held the solicitor's job in this region for years. They also own a prominent law firm where Randy and Alec currently work today. Some in the community questioning if the family used their connections to protect Paul the night of the boat crash.
Hell yeah.
Do you think anyone in your family interfered in any way?
I don't.
Do you feel like some of the perception of your family has been wrong?
Yes. I see words like dynasty used and power. And I don't know exactly how people use those words.
Oh my God. Playing in y'all face. They're using words like power, wealth. These are foreign terms to me and my family. We just have the bodies of these 2 individuals were found near the dog kennels, near a lodge on your sprawling estate. Get out of here. You're not relatable. I don't care what kind of shirt you just picked up from Dillard's. You're not relatable. Is Dillard still around? I don't know. Is still Belk? Belk. I don't care what shirts you picked up from Belk on your way to do this interview. Get out of here.
But we're just regular people, and we're hurting just like they would be hurting if this had happened to them.
This morning, this tight-knit family holding on to each other.
Tight-knit. GMA, get it together.
He's upright and looks strong and
what
making
is this
his way, and
power? What is this?
It just breaks down.
Mystical, magical thing.
It's tough for us.
It changes you as a family.
Oh wow, they hit their marks.
And I can't imagine the
They hit
horror
their
that's
marks, y'all.
my brother's experiencing.
Now,
somebody needs to revisit all the 14 people that the Murdaugh family sent to the electric chair. I need to know all those cases. I don't care. Open and shut, whatever y'all want. I need to look at them because I want to know how them families felt. And all the other families who've lost loved ones connected to this family. How they feeling? And you see, this is the thing. White women do this a lot where they weaponize tears. They just took a page out of White Woman Playbook 101. I'm going to use my tears. I'm a weapon. And so now you can't question me. Now I'm feeble, I'm frail, and I'm innocent. You can't question anything, right? Because I'm crying. And ain't nothing like a white person crying to get people all up in arms. And it's the truth. It's the truth. I think the GMA, and y'all know this, y'all are some of the smartest people I've ever met. Even though if I haven't met you in the flesh, you're some of the smartest people I've ever met. And y'all know, to get that type of access to this family, this high profile family, it takes a level of cajoling. It takes a level of massaging. It takes some effort to really work this family to even do this sit down interview that they did for GMA. And so I would not trying to come at the reporter too much, but it was a cozy, easy softball interview. And I would assume that's because she wants to continue the access that she's been granted. But yeah, good morning, D. Yeah. To me that was very softball. And she's gonna get more access. She's been working it though. I will tell. She's been on the ground here in South Carolina. I don't know if she's based here or not. I don't know if she works through an ABC affiliate out of Columbia, but she's been working it. I bet she's been working her sources. But Alan Packett, don't get scooped by GMA.
Our team did see state law enforcement sled out near a swamp near that crime scene, searching that area, and they have set up a dedicated tip line just for this case.
That's bullshit. They know what happened. I'm sorry. They know what happened. Why would you close the state building if you didn't know what happened? Like, why? I'm trying to find it right now. Post and Courier. Why would you? Let's just open this up real quick, and I'm gonna say bye. Post and Courier sued SLED Colleton County over refusal to release Murdaugh public records. Right. So South Carolina newspaper is thanks ads. All right, let's get back in. A South Carolina newspaper is suing the police agencies investigating the shooting deaths of mother and son from one of South Carolina's prominent legal family. Post and Courier reports that they filed a lawsuit Thursday against SLED and the Colleton County Sheriff's. Okay, and we know, shout out to Aisha, we know how the Colleton County Sheriff's Office, we know how that department is a hot mess of corruption and of BS, a hot mess. The newspaper argues that authorities violated public records laws by refusing to release 911 calls and police reports. The state agents have released little information in the deaths of Maggie Murdaugh. So yeah, you're not a regular family. If you got these very powerful agencies working at your behest, you're not a regular family at all. So miss me with that. All right, I'm gonna stop it there. Start my work week off right on time. Get something to eat and start. But I really appreciate you all coming back. I'll get back into the fighting shape. I think I did good today. Actually, today was good. Hiccup free. Hiccup free. Really happy to be back. I'm glad I took time off, especially around so many I guess momentous is the word. So many anniversaries, Juneteenth. I really needed to be kind of quiet in my own thoughts and not often always have to dispense an opinion about things. And so I'll be back. I'm trying to figure this thing out though, y'all. I'm still figuring this thing out. Still trying to broaden my reach. work around the algorithms. But y'all, I say all that to say thank you for everyone who just continuously comes back and checks in on me, and who supported me, who donated this weekend, who showed me some love I did not expect it, nor did I solicit any help, anything. But y'all came through, and y'all don't know how much y'all help a girl out this weekend, pay bills, take care of things. Shout out to everyone who checked in on me. And shout out to all my followers, my viewers, my friends, my community that's just always just making sure I'm straight. I am straight. House is messy. That's why I'm up against the wall, because I'm playing a game with myself, which is how long can you let a suitcase from a business trip stay on the floor open? It's a game with no winners and no losers. Maybe it's a game with no winners. So I didn't want y'all to see all how this apartment's in disarray. But it was good to be back. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow morning. I'll be here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Bye. Appreciate y'all.